If you were able to go back, right, with all the knowledge you have in your head now about data, and you got to go back to your school psychologist position, how do you think that would be different?
First, I need to put a caveat out there to say, like, I know what I'm about to suggest. I can't promise you that like your systems will be cool with this because I know the way systems are, right? Sometimes they want people to present data in like the exact same way. I leave it to you to try and make sense of this. But like, I have literally made people fall asleep with my data presentations as school psychologists. Like, I've done it. And you don't have to say if you've done it also, but I suspect that I am not the only person who's done that. And I did that starting like really early in the 2000s. So I've had a lot of time and I've done it like sadly, like it's going to be vulnerable here. I've done it like a few times after that too. And so like I've been thinking a lot about like, why is that? I'm not a bad data analyst. Like, why do people go to sleep? Here's what I think it is. The way that we analyze data and the way that we present data are two separate processes, right? And they're related, but they are different. And the problem, I think, is that when I was at an IEP meeting, I presented data in this like information from my eval in the exact same order that I discovered it when I was analyzing it. And what I've learned is it's got to be the reverse. You got to present in the reverse order, right? So I'm going to make this like super concrete for you, right? When I analyze data, uh, either like for a psych eval, but even now, like, I look at really huge, big, multiple hundreds of thousands of long data sets, right? I follow a very basic routine, which is to look at as many data sources as I can, qualitative and quantitative, right? And I just look at all of it in the same way that you might look at all, every test that you gave in your test battery. That's part one. Then I look across and I look for themes, right? Like what's speaking to me here that is speaking to me through all these different channels of data, right? And then I'll identify that theme, right? Maybe it's like, oh, we have to talk about our homework policy or something like that, right? Like these are sort of broader things that the data is beginning to speak to you from. And then the third part of it is I find some story by which to convey that to the audience, right? Now, if you present that to the audience in the exact same order, which is what I used to do, that's when people fall asleep because you were showing them every single data point, right? And then you're saying, okay, here's what we learned from that. And then here's a theme. And then if they're lucky, they also get a story, right? And so like it's it's a little like you invite somebody to a fancy dinner and then but like before you like give them the dinner, you make them sit through your timeshare like speech. they don't they don't get the shrimp cocktail until like the very end, but they were there for the shrimp cocktail to begin with, right? So what I propose is the reverse of that. All right. So when you present the data, like if I were to go back, I don't know if this would have made people mad, but I don't think so. If I were to go back, I would open with the story and I would say, look, I really enjoyed working with Maria. There was this one time where we were working through this test and this is how she responded to like this particular thing. Doesn't that say so much about like who she is? And everybody who knows her would be like, yes, right? Then I would jump to the theme, which is something like one of the things I'm noticing is that she tends to do better when the instruction is delivered in this way, right? That's your theme. Right now, remember, you only discovered that because you looked at like a gazillion data points, right? But that's the theme. That's what people want to know. And then to bring rigor into the conversation, you're going to pick two data points that really speak to that powerfully. And that's going to be like, that's going to be your little message or like, hey guys, I'm not making this up. Like there actually was evidence for this, right? And then you'll say like, hey, let me just show you an example in the test, right? And you're going to pick two tests that show why that might be true for Maria, right? So if you look at it, it's the same components, right? It's the story, is the theme, and then it's the actual data points that you examine, but done in reverse order.